Why nightclubs are not the best return on your investment if you are a lower mate value guy. Nightclubs, it is not an even playing field. It is better for some people and not so good for others. And if you are a lower mate value man, which I'm going to try and explain now, what that constitutes, who you are, your mate value, it is probably not the best return on your investment to be hitting the nightclubs. I'm going to try and explain that right now. But before we kick it off, I'm Dave. This channel is dedicated to giving you no BS, novel dating advice for the modern man. Top link in the description to get some coaching with me. Join up to my communities. And I've also got a few other links in there. You can read my autobiography right there as well. So, nightclubs. Now, I think for most men out there that don't know anything about dating or pickup, it takes quite a few years to fully grasp what I'm trying to say, and I'm going to help you guys get right to the point right now. Nightclubs is the default go-to for the vast majority of men. That's where the nightclubs get their money. They make money off men going in there, spending a lot of money on drinks, buying girls drinks, paying for a cover charge. That covers, it's just an expensive pub. You can go to the pub literally next door and spend half the price for the same amount of drinks. You're spending a lot of money that covers, the dance floor and the DJ and the extra security and all the other problems that arise in a nightclub. Lower mate value men are actually, they're the ones that are funding this, and they're also the ones that are treated the worst inside nightclubs. Now, firstly, who gets laid the most in a nightclub? You don't have to have a lot of game to succeed in a nightclub. You really don't. Girls, after a few drinks, they will give you choosing signals. They will look at you. They will, when you go over there and you've had a few drinks and you go over and you put your arm around them or you say, let's come for a drink, they're going to look at you and go, yeah, tall, handsome guy. You're in. You don't even really need to open your mouth because you can't even really hear each other in a nightclub. A nightclub is basically a place where 80-20 principle up here, the top 20% of men get most of the success. It's kind of the same as Tinder. Well, you see, if you are under the average height, say, depending on what country you're in, of course, I don't know what country you're in, but if you're in a country, just say we're in Asia, and all of the average height of most men in that club is like 5'9". If you are 5'10" or 6 foot tall as an Asian guy, your head's going to pop up above all the rest of the men, and therefore you're going to stand out. If you are really thin and short, you're going to become invisible. If your height range is beneath the height range, but you spend a lot of time in the gym, which is not really advisable, because how much time do you need to spend in the gym to get jacked? That can consume your entire life. You can just get wider. And then you can have more presence. Presence is so important in the nightclub. The amount of times that growing up, I would go there with, say, a football team, my football team, and friends from my football team, even after we stopped playing rugby. The amount of times would be out there, we're having a few drinks, and one of my best friends would literally just come and he'd turn his back on me like this, and I'd be like, hey, big guys that are 6'5" and weigh about 120 kilos. You're like, hey, they're like, oh, sorry, Dave, I didn't see you there. It's dark, and you'll notice that there's circles. Just say there'll be people that get around in circles, even if it's just 3 or 4 people, they all get in a bit of a circle and face each other and talk. usually in a nightclub, when you have a group of people, or you have a bunch of guys and you meet a bunch of girls, you get in a big circle. Well, quite often the smallest guy in that little circle there will get just pushed out of the circle, or someone will turn their back on you. Presence is very important, so size matters in the nightclub. So lower mate value guys I would deem to be guys that are beneath that height range. And I just mentioned, say, Asia. Just say you're in a European country and the average height's, 5'10", 5'11", or something like that. If you're above that, if you're 6'1", 6'2", you're going to stand out. You're going to have more success. I don't know, Africa guys are really tall. They can be like 7 foot tall or whatever. If you're really short, if you if you are the tallest man in an Asian nightclub and then you go to an African nightclub, you're going to be beneath the average, right? Height matters and size matters. If you don't have the height, get the breadth. Just to help with your presence. On top of that, you can have the height and the breadth, but if you're unattractive, you're not really going to have too much success, are you? It is really a bit of a meat market for women in the nightclub. You will notice that even in those little circles, there'll be a little petite little girl that couldn't weigh more than 60, 70 kilos, tiny little girl with high heels on that if someone bumped her, she'll fall over. She doesn't get pushed out of that group, does she? Because she's the prize. Women are the prize in the nightclub. And if you meet a girl, how do you get some time to actually start a conversation with her? What is the most common thing that men do in a nightclub? Well, they go over and they say, "Can I buy you a drink?" This is literally the most obvious canned line there is out there. They're buying her time. And why are they buying her time? Because, well, she runs the nightclub. She's the most high value person in the nightclub. And she, at the end of the night, will probably go around getting free drinks all night and still choose the highest value man that she can get. And because she's surrounded by them, she's going to have options. She's going to be able to choose whatever one she wants. And if she doesn't want to date any of them or go home with any of them, she doesn't do any of that. And it can be chaos in the nightclubs. And so if you don't have the presence, if you don't have a ton of money to go around just buying girls drinks all the time, my book just fell down, then you will suffer the consequences of bad results in the nightclub. And I think that's very important, and I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I think it's a very important thing, and I think for a lot of guys out there it's quite obvious. It's not obvious for a lot of men for some weird reason, but to me it's really obvious as someone that has spent a lot of time in the nightclubs. And I will like to add something there. You can be short, you can be unattractive, and you can get laid in the nightclub. You can meet your future wife in the nightclub. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm not saying that it's something that will not happen. I'm just saying that the probability of that happening is a lot lower. And if you don't believe me and you want to get some real data, you know what you do? You go to the nightclub one night, you turn up at 10 p.m. and you stay through till 5, 6, whenever it closes, you stay through to closing. And maybe you hang out the front, maybe. And you watch guys come into the nightclubs and you see what guys come in. You're going to have to maybe film out the front of the nightclub, and you see single guys going in, and you see which guys leave with girls at the end of the night. What do they look like compared to other men? Then you'll really have a better understanding. Also, you can spend hundreds of nights in nightclubs like what I have, and approach every single girl in there, and then see how your results go compared to other men that pretty much have a girl throw themselves at them, and learn from your own experience. Or you can just take my word for it, someone who's spent a lot of time and effort out there gathering all this information, and that's why I'm coaching. If you are a little bit shorter, if you are a little bit less attractive, or you're a little bit older, I would also say that there is an age cusp where, you know, it just no longer really works for you. I'd say it's around 35. And if you're 35 and you're short, then good luck in the nightclubs. I would say all of these are important factors to take into account, and nightclubs are not necessarily the best return on investment if you are a lower mate value man. Hopefully that makes sense. DM me if you have any questions. I'll see you guys in the next video.